Blue Lock is going wild, as in this chapter, we see Shido actually passing and working together with Karasu and Ryo. We then see Isagi getting some playtime before Loki came by, thinking that he was someone, but he was only getting tricked by Isagi. Alright, starting off this chapter, also called No Guard Part 1, we see the commentators being super ecstatic over the game being back on, as one of them tells the players to go, and the other one explains that the non-stop intensity of Japan versus France charges into the second half. With that, to absolutely no one's surprise, we see the game being back in full action with France, of course, leading with 1 goal, but Blue Lock starting with the ball, as Isagi seems to be passing Karasu on his left. Karasu gets the ball, but it doesn't stay with him for like even a second, as he sends it right away with a super cool pass. Now under him, we see that it's Shido who the pass is going to, and Shido lets out a music note emoji because, I mean, why wouldn't he? Anyway, Shido is holding away one of the defenders, and that's why just as he gets the ball, he, just like Karasu, sends it away. This time the ball from Shido is going at full force to Ryo. Now I'm sure that you have already guessed it, but the ball doesn't stay with Ryo either for very long, as he sends a super straight pass to Karasu, who does have 2 players around him and guarding him like hawks, but obviously it's Karasu, so he locks in and gets out his feather aura, and then he dashes right in between the players. With them out of the way, he gets out his metavision eyes and says that this half, they are striking back, and that line goes so insanely cold, so big ups to Karasu. We then see some of the French players' reactions as we see Charles, who just smirks as he says that it's interesting. We also have Loki, who explains that they changed their entire strategy. Hugo agrees and says that it's now a complete change from before, saying that it's a triangle passing pattern with Karasu as the crux, and this panel also goes wild with Karasu, Ryo, and Shido passing each other, for then the crow to just fly over them in line with the ball. The ball then reaches Shido once again, and this time Charles is in front of him, but instead of reminiscing about the past that they share, Shido just screams die right in Charles's face because that's not rude at all. With that, he also sends a pass over to his left side, where we can see that the ball landed in the hands of Hiyori. Hiyori traps it flawlessly before he as well gets his meta vision eyes out and tells Blue Lock to move, and that saying from Hiyori really worked as we then see Karasu, Ryo, and Shido, all of them looking almost possessed as they go rushing towards the French goal. Charles is super confused by this, as he says that they are all rushing, which he wasn't ready for. The French goalkeeper, who for some reason just keeps on getting more and more screen time, is getting even more screen time than the GOAT Corona has gotten. Anyway, he says that this is it. He holds his hand out and says that the crux isn't just Karasu, but that he and Hiyori are using a double game maker system. With that, we see Hiyori firing off an insane pass towards Karasu. We then move into the sadist little head as he thinks that Karasu is bringing the ball up and he is changing the pace as they are attacking up front with their combined ideas that leave Isagi free behind them. And this panel is genuinely so insane cool as we see Isagi getting the pass from Hiyori instead of Karasu. And from the last few chapters, I thought that he would be sidelined, but seeing him once again in the spotlight makes me so happy. Isagi, who now has a ton of puzzle pieces just floating around him like crazy, tells Karasu, "Nice skip," since Karasu skipped over the ball and let it flow over to Isagi. However, after that, the Day Destroyer comes by, and it's of course Loki, who comes sprinting right in front of Isagi as he tells him that he expected this much, which, firstly, is a credit to Loki since he saw this coming. Anyway, if he thought that he would actually beat Isagi, then that's a whole different story, as we can see in Isagi's eyes as they are getting more and more fired up. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well, not to mention his metavision coming out. He then, in his head, asks Loki what he thinks about this, and just then, he screams out to Rin, who has not appeared right by his side, and he passes him flawlessly. Rin looks super intense and fully locked into the game as he says, "Here comes a surprise combo." With that, Loki obviously has to go and guard Rin instead of Isagi, which in turn does leave Isagi free, and with that in mind, Rin decides to pass to Isagi, making an egotistical 1-2 pass. But sadly, Loki has to come in the way yet again, as he tells them that they are way too slow and tells them that they are still in his range. So with that in mind, he dashes right to Isagi, who now has the ball. In the panel under that one, we can see them going head to head and really battling for the ball. And it does look like Loki is starting to get more ground on Isagi. But with that said, we then move into Isagi's brain, and he also has a ton of puzzle pieces around himself as he thinks that now, for one more surprise connection, he then tells someone he calls for the Hungry Lion to come on. And with that, we see Isagi, of course, passing the ball to BAROU, who looks absolutely manic as he sprints and rushes to the ball with all that he can. After that, we can finally see his furious eyes as he speaks up and announces that it's now time to get nasty, while, of course, having his signature lightning strikers around him. In front of him, he does have two of the French defenders and also the goalkeeper in his way. But is that really enough to stop him? Now you might be pretty confused as to why I left it off at just 10 pages and not the full chapter. Well, the reason is pretty simple, and it's because this week we only got half a chapter. Now, before some of you get mad, there's a really good reason for it, as unfortunately, the author of Blue Lock got a sudden illness, and that made it so completing it in time was just an impossible task. This is the official announcement from the company. They say that they deeply apologize for the inconvenience this causes to their readers. They kindly ask for your continued support of Blue Lock. Now yes, this is pretty sad. However, we have to remember that there is actually a person behind this, and the author of Blue Lock has been working extremely hard recently and not taking a break for a while. So this is the least that we can do. So try to be understanding. However, even with that said, it looks like there still will be no break next week, and that the remaining 10 pages will drop in next week's issues, and it's called No Guard the Climax. Anyway, this is pretty insane, and I hope that he at least takes one break week after this chapter is done, as they more than deserve it. Anyway, with that, let's get to talking about this. Still a madness of a chapter. Starting off, I just loved the fast pace, the attacking style from Blue Lock felt. Like at one time Karasu had the ball, then Rio, and then Shido. Of course I know that this is just standard for football, but I don't know how to describe it. But the author makes it seem so fluid and so fast-paced, and I really enjoyed it. Now I did wish that we had some sort of interaction between Charles and Shido, and not just Shido telling Charles to die. Now I just want to clear up that I don't know if he directly said it to Charles or not, because that would be weird, but you know what I mean. I really think that Shido will score the next goal, and after that they will talk a bit, but to be honest, I just really wanted to have it now, so it feels a bit sad not getting it, but I guess waiting a bit more isn't that much of an issue. Next up, Rin's and Isagi's play together was outright sick. I really wish that we would get more chemical reactions between them, as it's something with the number 1 and number 2 player playing together, which makes it feel so awesome. It really feels like Blue Lock is putting everything into this and working somewhat together to try and put France into their place. But yeah, more Rin and Isagi link-up plays is something that I doesn't just want, but it's a straight-up need for me. Next up, it's of course BAROU. Like, how could I not talking about the Hungry Lion? First off, I just want to say that it feels a bit strange seeing him and Shido out on the pitch, as it has been such a long time since they last were out there now. But I of course doesn't complain, not at all, as I really like it. For the next chapter, I do however feel like BAROU has a big chance of getting blocked, as we have seen where Loki and Charles currently are, but we have no whereabouts about Hugo. And that leads me to believe that it will be him who will try and come in BAROU's way in the next chapter. It will lead to BAROU not scoring, and the ball bouncing over to Shido to score the goal. Anyway, that's just my prediction, but please leave yours down in the comments. Also, let me know what you thought about this chapter. Personally, since it was just a half chapter, I have to give it like a 6 out of 10, but let me know your rating down below. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.